Welcome, Sarah. This is Sarah Carter, everyone. Welcome to the Uncensored Patriots live stream podcast.
Thank you for having me.
No, you're welcome, mate. You're welcome. Listen, so tell me a bit about yourself and how long you've lived at RAF Scampton.
Well, about me, I'm a 50-year-old perimenopausal stubborn-ass grandma who has always been. I'm quite tall, and I was very tall from an early age, so I was always the one to sort of like look after the more vulnerable people. So I'm always used to having to stand up to the bullies, and always looking out for the underdog. In every walk of life. But I've lived here 10.5 years now. On RAF Scampton, well, what was RAF Scampton married quarters. My husband's lived on this married quarters for 30 years and 2 months. So he's part of the furniture. he was based at RAF Waddington, which is the other side of Lincoln, but because they don't have enough married quarters over there, they used to use some at Scampton, so that's why he moved here whilst he was on tour, did 3 tours at Waddington. And then when they started selling off some of the houses here, he loved it so much that he decided to buy one. So we have a nice little house overlooking the runway. You do.
Right, so when me and you spoke on the phone the other day, you told me about your main concern, and rightly so. These the government's plans to put 2,000 migrants onto your camp.
Yeah, well, that started 2.5 years ago. So it was a bit of a shock actually, because it was Monday, the 6th of March, 23. The local council, West Lindsey District Council, announced that they'd agreed a deal with Scampton Holdings Limited to invest £300 million into the former RAF Scampton to create a new sort of heritage centre. But it was going to be sort of an innovation centre as well. So not just celebrating, because we're the home of the Dam Busters. So the Dam Busters raid was flown from here by 617 Squadron back in 1943. So there's a lot of history, there's a lot of heritage here. We've had the Red Arrows, the Lancaster, the Vulcan, and we want to preserve as much of that history and heritage about the site as possible. And this company had agreed to deal with the council, and it was like, yay, brilliant. And we didn't even get to enjoy that for 48 hours until our MP, Sir Edward Lee, was stood in Parliament saying, you promised you're only going to put 2,000 illegal migrants at Scampton, and you promised it's only going to be for 2 years. So sorry, where did that come from? So 2.5 years ago, the fight started. We were lucky enough to manage to keep anyone coming onto site until Labour. I'm not saying we were lucky getting Labour in, but they had promised that they would stop the plan to use it as accommodation if they got in. So 2 months after they got in, Yvette Cooper said, we're going to scrap the plans. So cue celebrations, and now the proverbials hit the fan again.
That's unbelievable. So what's it like at the moment, just daily camp life, just for you and your family at the moment?
It's stressful. Everybody's stressed up to the eyeballs. I mean, when this was first announced 2.5 years ago, I mean, we don't have kids living at home anymore, but we still have the grandkids here that go out and play in the garden and ride their bikes out the front. So I can understand sort of people's fears to have 2,000 undocumented, unknown males housed where they're free to come and go. Literally the other side of a 6-foot fence was quite distressing for most people here. And within the first weeks, we had like security companies coming, putting like leaflets through the doors because they knew everyone was going to be wanting to like upgrade their security, getting new fences in the garden, talking about wearing body cameras around the community that they live in case something were to happen. And then we've got the primary school. So all we have here on this estate, there's only 750 of us here. We have a primary school and a nursery. There's no shops, no bars, no pub, nothing like that. That's all that's here. And the school is literally the other side of the fence to the accommodation. So the playground for the school is about 25 metres away from the nearest accommodation block that they would be housed in.
25 metres away.
25 metres from the playground. Now, they did this amazing thing of putting some tarpaulin up against the fence. Okay, so they couldn't look into the playground. Forgetting, I think, that the accommodation.
What about when they go up a couple of floors?
Well, this is it. The accommodation is 2 stories, so all they've got to do is climb on, like, come out of the fire escape onto the stairs outside, and they can see directly into the playground. And it's not just that; it's the kids when they're walking to school as well. So we've got a Facebook group that's been here for a long time, and so anything that happens, we can like all chat with each other, and they're talking about. It gives me goosebumps every time I mention it. Because it is, I mean, ex-military man yourself, you know, if you live on a quarters or even a former quarters, it's a pretty safe place. You know, our front page news is like, oh, someone threw some stones and smashed the shed window. You know, that's like, oh my God, really?
Yeah.
And then to have to consider that your kids aren't going to be safe to walk to school on their own, which they would normally do because there's a lollipop lady and it's safe as houses here. So they were talking about creating like a school train. So someone that lives the furthest away would go down every road, collecting the kids up. So all the kids would walk to school together. So they knew that, like with an adult, so they knew that they were safe and had made it to school, and the same to get home again. But we'd even spoken about, you know, a set group of us having a poster or something in the window to say that, you know, this is a safe place to come. Should you feel scared or need some help, come and knock on our door, you know, and to have to be thinking of stuff like that when you move into a place like this. And someone said, well, it's no different from living in the city. Well, that's why we don't live in the city. That's why we live here, because it's safe as houses.
When you live on a camp, you straight away, you just instantaneously just think this is complete protection.
Yeah, well, they started telling the house.
Like, this is a military base. This is like, do you know what I mean? No one's going to get in here. It's going to be like Fort Knox. Do you know what I mean? But then, for the government to then place unvetted migrants to live like and walk the same grounds as you in that safe haven with you and your family and your children.
Well, there is because it all used to be open at one point, so you could walk out my front door, throw it onto the runway or onto the apron or whatever. But about 26 years ago, they separated it off and created a separate entrance to come onto camp. So we still call it camp because it's always been camp, but the married quarters. So we do have a separate entrance, which comes straight off the main road. So we don't have that security there, but we're in the middle of nowhere. Everybody sort of more or less knows each other, and it's still got that sort of camp mentality.
So is it quite a close-knit community still?
It can be. Not as close. I mean, I've lived on military bases, and it's not as close because you haven't got all there's normally someone from each household that works with your next door neighbour and that. So because of most of the houses are private now and privately owned, it's not as much as it would have been if it was still military. But, you know, if the snow comes down, there's I'm going out with a bucket to put some sand down at the main entrance because it's on a bit of a slope and it's hard to get onto the main road. And, I'll do it tomorrow night, mate. And, we've just at the weekend they did a litter pick. You know, you put it on the Facebook group, going out to do a litter pick, and people go out. This side of camp was completely blocked off, and we had 1 year of snow, and it drifted up against a fence, completely blocking the road to about 8 foot high. So, you know, everybody was out there with their shovels, and people offering people lifts to work, or, I mean, yeah, during COVID, you know, oh, I can't get to the shop, and can somebody get this for me? Or, and, you know, and there'll always be someone there to help out. So yeah, it is a good community to live in, but everybody is scared. And not to mention, like, our house prices, because people say, well, why don't you move? Well, the day this announced, you know, our house prices just plummeted, because who's going to want to live here now?
Because of the migrants that are going to be getting planned to move on to your camp.
Yeah. Literally the other side of a 6 foot fence. Yeah.
And when was when did you first hear about the government's plan to house the migrants at the at RAF Scampton?
Well, that was the Tories, like I say, about Edward Lee standing up in Parliament. So that was March 23. Then it was pardon?
Was that, did you say 23? Yeah.
Yeah, March 23, so 2.5 years ago. And then when Labour got in, they stopped it in September 24. So we spent like 18 months of it all consuming, trying to fight this. And then it wasn't until 2 and a bit weeks ago, when Angela Rayner was no longer Deputy Prime Minister, they decided to have a nice little reshuffle. And Yvette Cooper, who promised us they wouldn't use Scampton, went from Home Secretary to, I think, Foreign Secretary. And Shabana Mahmood took over her place on the Friday.
And that week, when you found the news out that she got placed as the new Home Secretary,
I could have cried. I could have cried, because I'm like, oh, it's a new enemy. I mean, we've had to deal with like Suella and Yvette, and every time it's like, oh, here we go again. But she just happened to mention over the weekend that she's going to make use of military bases to empty the hotels, because they're trying to stop, you know, these protests happening all over the country, and everybody across the country is unhappy because every town and city, you know, is going through the same thing. So she's pushing to use military bases, which is a great idea. Disused remote military bases, perfect idea if you're going to detain them. But this site isn't remote. We have a community living here. We have a primary school. We have a nursery school. Exactly. We're nowhere near remote. And the fact that even when these people are being moved onto military sites, they're not going to be detained. They're actually going to be free to roam. You cannot stop them from leaving. But not just that, they also provide free bus service for them, so they don't get bored, to keep them sort of entertained. From Scampton, they plan to put on coaches which would go to Lincoln City, to Gainsborough Town, and to Newark Town as well. So every day they'd be bussed into, so it wouldn't just affect here, it would also affect everywhere around here.
Outside of the camp. Yeah. It's disgusting. It's disgusting when you think about it, because it's just like how these are unvetted men that have come into our country illegally, and they think it's perfectly acceptable to place them on a military camp, right, filled with families raising their children in the married quarters, and they're literally and like you said previously, going back, you said that the playground where the kids play is only 25 meters away from the first housing block of where they're
25 meters.
Yeah, that's Jesus Christ. I can't.
And only a couple of 100 meters away from the nursery. But I mean, they did send someone from the civil service up back in 22 to come and recce the place and sort of like let us know what you think. And the civil servants actually went back and said, no, it's not suitable. They have this £300 million regeneration deal. And bearing in mind, Okay, most real Lincolnshire, it's very flat, hence why we were bomber county. So, you know, there's an RAF base every 1.5, 2 miles away. But when you look at what's happened to them when they've closed down, they've either been turned into a housing estate, an industrial estate, or like Hemswell Cliff, it's all antiques and boot fairs and stuff like that. This has so much history and heritage steeped in it that we can't risk that just being tarmacked over and forgotten about.
No.
And we need to keep a little something. And at the time this was sort of announced, we had Rishi Sunak talking about levelling up. That was his big thing. You know, we're planning millions of levelling up here and millions of levelling up here. I said, we've got £300 million worth of levelling up of private money. So this isn't even government money. This is private money, which is due to generate over 1,000 jobs once it's actually completed. You know, 1,000 jobs to this area, which I think we get a bus every 2 hours or something like that. So for someone that's struggling to be able to get transport to and from work, to have 1,000 jobs on our doorstep, the amount of tourism that would bring into the area. So you've got the Bomber Command Centre anyway, so people would maybe stay for a couple of days. So you're getting money into the hotels, into the pubs, into the bars, you know, the transport system. So they reckon it's going to generate about 2 billion for the local area. The biggest levelling up that, you know, this county's ever seen. But the civil servants go back and say, you know, they've got this amazing plan on the table. And not just that, there's 750 people living there, and a primary school and a nursery school. And Sorella Braverman was just sort of like, tough.
Have you heard have you heard what Trump's made a statement today to the UN? He's done a speech.
No, go on.
He's basically mentioned Sadiq Khan is the most awful mayor, right? He's the most terrible mayor, right, of London's ever had. And he said we need and if we don't sort this out soon with the illegal immigration, then it's literally gonna destroy the West, basically.
Yeah, most definitely.
It's literally going to destroy Europe from allowing all these illegal migrants coming in. Because I'm not being funny. I have said this before, Sarah. I have said so many times, and so many people agree with me and have said, yeah, we've said the same thing, right? All they need to do is utilise the Royal Navy, place them in the Channel, use them as a deterrent, allow them to do their job. That's what they're there for, right? But they don't.
To protect this country.
To protect us, right?
Yeah.
To protect us from illegal migrants coming onto UK shores. But they're not, are they, really? Let's face it. There's a clear agenda there, and I've been saying it for ages. I personally think, mate, right? I mean, I look at these hotels, right? And when the government are putting these illegal migrants up in these hotels, I don't look at them as hotels anymore. I look at if they're facilitated by illegal migrants, right? I look at them as barracks, because they're all fighting fit men, right?
Yeah,
they're assuming that you get the media, the mainstream media, going, oh, they're fleeing war-torn countries. No, they're not, because if they're really fleeing war-torn countries, what sort of a man leaves their women and their children behind in a war zone?
I said that myself as a grandma.
You know what I mean?
You know, if this country was at war, I'm sending the kids and the grandkids off somewhere safe. I'm staying, I'm staying and fighting for my country, and 100%. To make sure that there's somewhere for them to come back to call home. I'm not disappearing off. And you know, if my husband went, oh well, I'll toodle off somewhere, go and find somewhere safe, and then in a couple of years, once I get residency, you can come and join me.
No,
I'd be like, whatever, bye. Yeah. I'm staying and fighting because I've just. That's not the sort of people we want in this country. People that would come over and leave their families behind to fight a war. And plus, when you look at statistics, I think it was over the last year, the people coming over by boat have come from 83 different countries. Now, what 83 countries are all at war at the moment? And if they're coming because I'm gay and I'll be persecuted in my own country, sorry, are we supposed to take every country's gay, lesbian, trans, person
Honestly.
because we're the safe haven? We can't do it. We've had enough. And when Trump came over the first time and he met and he was saying about he's the worst mayor ever, I really can't stand him, and Keir Starmer just went, but he's my friend. I was like, are you being serious? I just wanted to say to Keir, like, I wouldn't admit that if I was you, mate. Like,
yeah, you know what I mean?
It's like saying you're best friends with, I don't know, Adolf or something. It was like, oh,
but hey, let's not. Yeah, but you can't forget, right? It doesn't even matter if he did say it or he didn't say it, because Trump remembers everything, doesn't he? Really, and he's not going to forget when he had his presidential election coming up that Starmer sent some of his cronies across the pond to interfere with it. Remember?
Oh yeah, with
sent some of his Labour cronies. Yeah. But
I mean, the thing is, Trump can see what's happening.
Of course he can.
It's like,
mate, you know what, mate? I think we're looking across the pond for Trump's help, because we're stuffed over here ourselves. Because what are we going to do with this government?
Well, you had here in Parliament the other week saying, or the other month, I can't remember, I lose track of time these days. And where's Farage gallivanting off in America when they were talking about the free speech in Congress? He can't even be here. He's in America sucking up to his mates, sort of thing. And I'm like, he's over there trying to rally support to put pressure on you because you are just dragging this country down. He's doing whatever he can to try and get support for us. And no matter, if whether you like Trump or not, if he can he can be of some influence to make even the smallest bit of change over here. But I noticed that, he waited for Trump to go back this time before recognizing Palestine. And I'm like, I bet you didn't tell Trump you were going to do that. I mean, I know they'd announced that they were possibly going to, but I mean, I just could not believe it.
I swear to God, mate, honestly, Sarah, right? When I see that that the UK government recognised Palestine as an independent state, oh, mate.
Did you actually watch?
Literally, it's basically rewarding Hamas for their terrorism. In a nutshell. Yeah.
If they want you to do something.
Whereas Milan, there's riots from the left, from the far left, because the Giorgia Meloni wouldn't recognise Palestine as an independent state.
Yeah,
because she disagrees with it because because the Hamas are terrorists. Simple as that. Do you know what I mean?
Did you actually see it when he announced it though? I didn't watch it until Monday, I think it was, and I'm like, why does he look like someone's pointing a gun at him while he's saying that? Just the way he said it, as if he was so scared.
Yeah, I think so many people. There's so many people that have got different points of view within regards to Starmer and the role he plays as Prime Minister of the UK. And I think I think 80% of people now pretty much look at him as a puppet.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like he's getting told what to do. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Let's face it. I mean, look where that man is sat in the polls. I've never seen a man that far down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like Conservative, Labour.
Yeah. It's like, see you later. But it's
a beautiful sight to see, though. It really is.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you can see the level of hatred that this country has towards that prime minister. You can see it. You can feel it every time that man puts a tweet out from his X account. Jesus, you literally just click on any tweet, any day of the week. Click on his latest tweet. Click on the tweet before. You'll just see a barrage of comments of people just going in. Do you know what I mean?
So I'll tell you a little something. So, I mean, over the last 2.5 years, you know, I've done a lot of interviews. I managed to get a question to Rishi Sunak and he answered me, and, you know, different bits and pieces that I've been quite privileged to do. And so I've always sort of towed the line and been a pretty good girl when it comes to what I post and what I share.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, I'm done. I am done being nice. So he put something out about Charlie Kirk and then mentioned something about free speech. So I then posted underneath that, do you know what, Starmer? If I was to say what I thought about you right now, right here, I'd be having police knocking at my door later tonight. So much for your free speech. Within, I think it was about an hour and a half, I had a message from Facebook saying one of your pictures has gone against community guidelines and has been taken down. So I have a look and I can't actually see the picture. You can't see what it is. So it says like you can appeal it here. So I was like, okay, well, I'll appeal it because it said it's been taken down because of child sexual exploitation.
What?
Right, this picture wouldn't show me what the picture was, just saying they've taken it down. So I appealed it and they come back with, no, we're not putting it back up, and because you've appealed it, you're now on a warning. Right, so anything else like this flags up, you're at risk of losing your account. Right. And I'm like, what the hell is it? And my mum's like, well, is it when you went to Butlins? Did you take a picture of the kids and put it online at the swimming pool? I was like, Mum, I don't put pictures of my own grandkids on social media or anyone else's kids. And she's like, well, no, I just can't think what it could be. Then I looked, and this picture was from 28th of July 2009.
Yeah.
Right. So this picture has supposedly been on my Facebook profile for 16 years. Never been highlighted, never been flagged. All of a sudden, I'm telling Starmer what I think of him, and there might have been a few expletives in there somewhere. I can't quite remember now, but you know, all of a sudden, I start writing stuff. And sort of, maybe. But all of a sudden, I've sort of said, no, I'm going to start saying what I want to say on Facebook. But because I didn't say anything that completely went against their guidelines, you know, it wasn't insightful. I just said I can't put what I want to put. Literally, I think it was about an hour and a half later, I'm getting a notification from Facebook saying my account's at risk because this picture that they won't show me, which was from 16 years ago, which has managed to get through all their guidelines and their safety procedures and their bots and whatever that check it for 16 years, and all of a sudden my account's at risk because of it. And I'm like, no, this is completely made up.
That is so sus, mate.
But even if they'd put something like for nudity or something like that, but they dare put child sexual exploitation, and I'm like,
that don't add up, mate.
Gross. It was gross because I would never.
No. But that don't add up, mate. And it's just like it's so coincidental that it happened just after you'd slated him. Yeah,
if it had been days, if it had been weeks apart, then I would have thought, oh, okay, that's a bit weird. But the fact that, I mean, because I was still angry about him posting something about Charlie Kirk, and I'm like, don't you dare talk about him, you know, you're not worthy. Yeah. And so I was still sort of rattled by it. And then I get this, and I'm like, what the? And I'm just like, so yeah. When they talk about free speech, it's like, yeah, when you do interviews on the telly, you know, if I do an interview for the BBC, I think I shared two on my post on TikTok, just to try and show a bit of comparison between a BBC interview and maybe a GB News or a Talk TV interview or something like that. The difference in questioning, you know, the
Yeah.
difference of the answers and stuff. And like, so you don't even get free speech when you're doing an interview, because they'll edit to fit their narrative, which they've done on several occasions, and literally cut the first half of my interview off because it didn't fit with what they wanted to hear. And it's like,
so how's the wider community responded to the news about you know, them placing these 2,000 migrants onto the camp?
well, I mean, we've had
outside of those camp gates, how has the wider community responded to the news of the government?
Oh, they're scared as well. I mean, let's say 2.5 years we've been going through this. So
Yeah, you said, didn't you, about them they're going to be bussing them in like bus passes and stuff.
Yeah, well, my mum lives just outside Newark, and she was on one of the Newark Facebook pages talking about something, and she went, well, that will change when all the asylum seekers start coming. Well, they're not coming here. And my mum's like, yeah, they're getting a bus service into Newark. No, they're not. No, they're not. So I'd recorded one of the meetings with the Home Office where they said they were going to place them, and I uploaded it. And I'm like, that's the Home Office. They're telling you that they are going to be shipping them into Newark. And they were like, oh. I was like, so do you want to come and stand and help us?
Panic mode. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
But I mean, I appreciate as well. I mean, I've been called a lefty, a righty, a NIMBY, whatever, because whoever you don't side with has got to call you nasty names. And if you don't join with one side or the other, both sides call you nasty names. But, you know, we're not NIMBYs. A NIMBY is not in my.
I don't know what a NIMBY is. Can you explain to me what that is?
It's the acronym, not in my backyard. So that's NIMBY. So that's saying like, oh, put them in the hotels everywhere else. I don't want them in my backyard. I don't want them at Scampton.
No,
right? But it's like,
don't want them in the country at all.
This is it. People accuse me of being a NIMBY because I don't want them here. I'm like, I'm not a NIMBY. I don't want them anywhere in this country. Yeah. I don't want anyone to have to go through what we've gone through here and what we're now potentially going through again. I mean, the fact that, you know, Luke Pollard, the Armed Forces Minister, was asked in an interview 2 weeks ago yesterday, because he's the one helping to sources. He was asked specifically 4 times, are you going to use Scampton? And he would not say no. He just said, we're looking at every potential site, even ones that we've previously dismissed. You've already wasted, and you've admitted you've wasted over 60 million on Scampton. You cancelled it because you said it wasn't cost effective. But if you're now desperate and you know that you've already spent 60 million somewhere, the chances are you're going to go there rather than start fresh somewhere else, aren't you? But even so, they said 2,000 on the hard standing, so on the apron outside the hangars. They had some of the buildings reconditioned to make them habitable again because they hadn't been used for a long time. It was only the Red Arrows that were here for quite a long time. So, you know, a lot of the accommodation blocks have been sort of left to fester. And then the rest were going to be in porta cabins out on the hard standing. We've got a 2-mile long runway of hard standing. How many porta cabins with 4, 6, 8
too many
guests, should we say, could you fit on a 2-mile long runway? And especially if you can, I mean, they don't tend to double stack them because they reckon it's a hanging risk, because people can hang themselves from like the buildings up high, so they don't tend to stack them double high here. But you could get a good 10,000 on here, maybe more. You know, the infrastructure's not here, so they were bringing all that in with them anyway, you know, big cesspits and stuff. So
do you think it's going to be more than 2,000?
Well, I mean, we worked out very quickly that you couldn't believe a single thing that the Home Office tell you, right? Because every time we had an engagement meeting, you'd ask them a question and the answer would change. So you knew you had to ask the same questions each time because you knew that, like, you can't rely on the answer you got last time. And it started off at 1,500 on that first day back in the March. And I think it was less than a week, it had gone up to 2,000. And then they said, when we were causing a right stink, and they said, well, maybe we'll just use a little bit of the camp and just have like 800 there. But we're going to put in a contingency of an extra 300 beds just in case there's an emergency. And I'm like, hold on a minute, you're not getting planning permission to do this because you're using Section Q, which means the government can override any planning permission that it needs from the local council to be able to push ahead with this because we're in an emergency, right? So you're using it because we're in an emergency. So what's going to stop you from filling those 300 beds straight away? But, you know, I said, Peter Levy on BBC Look North, that he was just saying, well, what, you know, how would you deal with the situation then? I'm like, I wouldn't have neglected the whole system for the last 7, 8, 9 years and let it get to a position that we're in now. I said, so, you know, you can't expect me to have to solve someone else's mess because they've not done their job properly. But it's like, why should any town, why should any city, anywhere in this country be subjected to going through something like this? You know, we were in the court case. It was joint, so our council and Braintree Council down in Essex joined up forces to try and fight the Home Office for the judicial review, to try and sort of get things stopped in a legal way that way. And we lost. Wethersfield, unluckily, had people move in before Labour got in, so they weren't as lucky as us. They've actually got people staying on there. And when you hear the stories that are coming from there, there was a freedom of information request to put in for, I think it was November 23. And in the month of November, there was only 2 days where there wasn't an ambulance called for the site due to fighting between the different people in the accommodation. And there was only, I think, about 400 or 500 at the time. So multiply that 3 or 4 times. How many ambulances are they going to need every day? The police, on the local Facebook group, they said like nearly every day, it's like, oh, more police cars going past. Oh, surprise, surprise. You know, and we're inviting that to our communities. I've seen people say that all these people that have been attacked or their lives have been affected should be able to sue the government.
They should be, 100%.
They should be allowed to sue the government because you're putting this on us. We didn't ask for it. You're doing this to us, especially when women are getting sexually assaulted, and when you know that it's our government that have let this happen.
It's like the government was to continually put families in harm's way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. And it breaks my heart every time I see somewhere else that's having to go through this. And I mean, I try and reach out to as many people. I'm now in contact. I met Sarah White from Epping a few weeks ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, at the conference. So I'm going down there next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Down to Parliament for the march with the Pink Ladies and the farmers. Yeah, so I'm going to be there. Got my mum printing my T-shirt ready in support, because we have to stand together, because as a community, us fighting the Home Office is just like, no, Scampton campaign's just fighting that here. The lot of Epping are just fighting that here. The lot of that. If we all stand up together and show united force and we're all supporting each other, then I think like they've got to take a little bit more notice. Now, when you look at, I don't know if you saw much about what was happening at Stradey Park, the Stradey Park Hotel in Llanelli. I've practiced quite a lot to get that right, in Llanelli in Wales. They managed to get it stopped, but it took them getting in a lot of trouble to get it stopped. I mean, they were doing barricades, so security security were trying to get food delivered whilst they were there for days on shift, and they were stopping the food getting in. They were, you know, causing, I mean, stuff that has happened up here as well, but the companies that are going on and off site, you know, you get their numbers off. When they were moving the cabins onto here, managed to find out, because there was no livery on the side of the vans, right? Because they're wise to it. They know that people are going to start giving them grief if they see that they're working with the Home Office to build these camps or to do these hotels. So you'll get like businesses hire a plain white van to come to site because they don't want to bring their own van, because then everybody knows who they are. I was looking for some flooring for my downstairs toilet and the bathroom, and I said to my husband, oh, pop into here. And as soon as he pulled into the car park, I went, no, get out, what are we doing? I was like, they were putting flooring on Scampton, we're not getting it from here, they can go off, you know. So you know, so the companies get wise to the fact that people aren't going to be happy about them helping the Home Office, and they were bringing the cabins on with these plain tractor units pulling the trailers. So we sort of like followed them back and saw where they were bringing them from, so that you had big lorry park, and you've got lots of lorries coming down bringing the porter cabins down, all liveried up so you could see where they were from. And then you had one, I kept calling it a plain clothes, but like one plain cab taking it in so no one could find out. But it's like, you got to get up earlier than that to fool us. We will go to any lengths to find out who you are. And they stopped answering the phone, right? Because someone in our Facebook group, when it was put out there that it was A Roads Haulage that were delivering these lorries, someone in the Facebook group messaged me and said, I used to work for them. Here's the numbers, and put a post up in the Facebook group saying, here's the managing director, here's this number, here's that number, the transport manager, put them all in the Facebook group. So that was it. Everyone was on it, ringing them. You shouldn't be doing this. You should be ashamed of yourself, blah, blah. They stopped answering the phones for I don't know, about a week, because people, anything that they could do to try and help them, to make people feel bad that are helping the Home Office, it's like, but yeah, I mean, Straddy Park, they won. I think it was exactly 100 days and before they actually announced, no, we're not going to be using it. But the protest camp that was set up outside, and bearing in mind this was manned day and night for 100 days.
Yeah.
They didn't want to take it down because they didn't believe the Home Office, because they've lied so many times to our faces, gone 360, 180 even, and gone back on what they promised people, that even when they say, when they say we're not going to use it,
what you do, they'll always lie to the public, no matter.
Yeah, well, people didn't believe them. But I mean, I even speak to a woman now, Angela, that is from Straddy Park, and I was trying to sort of like keep contact with them whilst we were doing our protest camp and everything. And the Voice of Wales come up to do an interview, and he said, I've got something for you. And it was a flag that the guys down at Straddy Park had sent up, a Welsh flag to put on our tent. So I sent them back with a Lincolnshire flag. So we sort of exchanged flags. And that was what we were doing with all different places, to show unity, to show, look, we're still supporting you, but we need help too, because the government needs to see we're rising up. And this march the other week, you know, that's what we all need to be doing, is getting up and showing the Home Office. Pardon?
Did you go to the Unite the Kingdom rally?
No, I didn't. I wanted to. I was in bed all day watching it. I a month ago ended up in hospital. I've got gallstones and kidney stones.
Ooh.
And I didn't want to be too far away from home for such a long time.
Put your health first, mate.
Yeah. So I was like, I just spent all day in bed watching it, just like kept getting goosebumps and laughing and giggling to myself and being like, oh my God.
It's brilliant. Absolutely phenomenal day. Best day I've had out in a long time.
I will be at the next one. Like I say, I'm going next Wednesday because I feel fit and well and healthy enough to go down there. So I'm going Wednesday down with Sarah and all the Pink Ladies and the Canary Wolf lot, and I believe the farmers are going as well. So it's it's a time. I think
listen, I was going to say to you, if you could speak, right, if you could speak to the government officials, right, what would you want them to understand? What would you want the government officials to understand if you could speak directly to them?
That we don't all live in ivory towers like them, and the people that put them in the place that they're in now
Exactly.
need your help, and you're neglecting them. So you should be done for treason.
Exactly
You're
that.
going against your country, and they need to be held accountable. What they're doing to it, I mean, it just never in a million years did I ever expect this on here. So I know what it's like for people when they think, because a lot of the time the first notice you get is you turn up for work at the hotel and they say, oh, we're letting you go from today. You don't get any word of it. It's so secretive. Basically, you're let go and the whole place just goes boom, lockdown, no warning. If they were going to build a new set of flats or something, they put posters up everywhere, planning permission, there's a meeting here, there's a meeting there. You don't get any say in it. Why should we have to deal? Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to.
Okay, why should we have to deal with the government's beep up?
No.
Oh, yeah, it just makes me so angry.
Let's get it out. Go on, get it out.
But yeah, the government's cock up.
Yeah.
But that was a light one. I was in an interview.
I've got the worst. Don't worry about it. I've got the worst potty mouth going, but I'm trying to.
I've done so many interviews now. I really try, but I think I was on Talk TV.
Trying to subside it all. Do you know?
Yeah, I was on Talk TV, and I was getting so angry, and I was going like this, and all I could imagine was like someone's neck in my hands, and I was like, I'm just like, I am that angry. When people say like, well done, you're doing a great job, I'm like, I've just had enough. I'm perimenopausal. I've got kids. I've got grandkids.
It's not a good job. It's you just look at it as standard, because that's the mentality that everyone should be having in this country that's sick of it. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I'm doing a good job and all that. Like, well, join in and be a collective and work with me, and let's all do it together. And do you know what I mean? Because no one should be putting up with this. Do you know what I mean?
So when this first started,
I want a safer country for my kids.
Yeah, exactly. But when this first started,
I want a safer country for my kids. And what about when my kids get older? Grandkids, exactly that. And it's just like, do you know what I mean?
Do you want your great grandkids walking around going, oh, when my grandparents are alive, they could wear normal clothes, not have to cover ourselves from head to toe because we're now a Muslim country? Because we got taken over when my grandparents didn't stand up for us.
Do you feel like we've been taken over by Islam?
Yeah, when you see what's happening. So I was in a live with some friends the other week, and we were talking about immigration and some of the protests and that are going on. And two American guys happened to sort of stumble into the live at some point, and one of them said to me, he said, I'm not even going to try and do the accent, but in his American accent, he said, so I came to London last year. He said, when I flew home, I said to my wife, I don't even feel like I've been to England.
Because it's changed so much.
He said he didn't even feel like he'd been to England. And he was asking us, he said, oh, whereabouts in England are you all from? Where can I go that, I can experience some of sort of real England? I was like, well, you better make it quick, mate, because there's not going to be much at this rate.
Yeah, exactly.
And one of the girls, she's like, oh, I'm from Sheffield. And he's like, so should I come to Sheffield? And she's like, nah, no. I appreciate
unrecognizable, mate. Don't come here. Do you know what I
mean? Yeah. I appreciate that there's lots of different cultures that are here, but they've not come
assimilated
to try and take over. And when you look at countries that across sort of this side of the globe that were Christian or Christian value countries that are now completely Muslim, it is shocking, and how quick that happens.
I want to tell you something. Do you know something, right? I've been non-religious my whole life. I'm 36 years old. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've literally, within the last few days, turned to Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the guy that I've been speaking to on and off for a while. His name is Ricky Doolan, and he was at the UTK rally as well. He's amongst Tommy Robinson's group.
Yeah,
brilliant bloke, lovely bloke. And do you know what? And the reason why I just felt I need to just do this. I need to just try to just you know what I mean, just go towards this, because I'm not being funny. I'm not going to sit here and do you know what I mean, allow our country, which was fundamentally, you know, formed on Christian values and do you know what I mean, and Christianity as a whole. I'm not going to sit by and let, you know, a completely different, a radical, violent, brutal ideology try and take over our country. No, thank you.
There are some lovely Muslims that are here.
I'm not sitting there and allowing that. I'm not. Do you know what I mean? I don't agree with their ideology whatsoever. I don't care.
I mean, there are some lovely Muslim people that are here, but how do we know?
No, but mate, we should be able to criticise. We should be able. That's part of freedom of speech. We should be able to criticise any religion. I don't care what if whoever even criticises Christianity. We don't care. Christians don't care about having their faith criticised on. That's not what we call it. What do you know what I mean? We're not sitting here coming up with a name like "you're a Christianophobe." Do you know what I mean? Like, shut up, mate.
It's too much of a mouthful, a Christianophobe. My problem.
Using that as a silly example for them, and them coming up with that made up word, Islamophobe. Go away, mate. Just go away. You know what I mean?
My problem with Islamophobe or Islamophobia, right? When you look at a phobia, it's an irrational fear of something, right?
Yeah.
Terrorists, kids getting assaulted, raped, women getting assaulted, raped, people getting attacked, you know, people breaking into houses. It happens here anyway.
You know, people.
But it's not irrational.
Some people could have a phobia, and that would be something like, phobia of spiders or wasps.
Buttons. Yeah. That irrational. That makes sense. Right? Yes. But it to be scared of something that has sort of a proven track record for extremists, it's not a phobia. It's not, you know, extreme to be scared of that. It's a genuine concern. So Islamophobia doesn't even exist in my book. You know, it's a fear of, not an irrational fear of. It's a rational fear. So
right in the bin.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, and I mean, I was reading yesterday that, you know, if this does actually come in, then it's going to make it so hard to be able to prosecute anyone that, you know, is of that faith. That it's just it's like me saying, there you go, there's my checkbook, have a way with it, you know, I'll sign it, you just fill it out what you want, because you know, we're going to let anyone do anything and not worry about So like, how I haven't started smoking again, I do not know, because it's just like, I mean, I've gone a lot grayer than I used to be.
I've never smoked in my life, mate. So.
Well, I gave up 9 years ago, but I tell you, the fight is very much on at the moment, because it's just.
Yeah, you're just on nerves all the time, aren't you?
Yeah, it's either that or turn into an alcoholic, one or the other.
So listen, so we start finishing up now. So what are your hopes going forward for your family and your community?
I'm hoping that the community can stay strong, because a lot of people have struggled with their mental health over the last 2.5 years. yeah, it's really hard going. So I'm just hoping that we can keep the faith, because we did it once before, and we're bigger and we're better and we're stronger now because we've been through it once already. So we're better armed at sort of fighting this time. We've got a lot more support behind us. So yeah, I'm just hoping that we can sort of like keep strong, keep each other's chins up. As regard to family, I mean, I've been for an interview today and got a new job, because it's so hard trying to work whilst you're running a campaign. So I've just got a little part-time job just to sort of keep things ticking over. And so as long as I can do that, I've still got like the energy and the finances to sort of keep fighting. So that's that sorted. But I'm just trying to get the word out to everyone of what we're going through here. So, you know, when it comes a time to actually get out the front of camp again, because we've been there, we've done it before. I've slept, it's half a mile away from my house, where's the protest camp, and I slept there for months, you know, nipping home for a shower and then going back there. And in the middle of February, when it was absolutely freezing, done it before, we'll do it again. I know now, next time, to wear tight sand leggings under my jeans and that to try and keep warm. It layer up. I know. I'm not, you know, however long it takes, we'll do it. But I've also, I mean, my husband and my mum know what I'm like, and I've said I won't see them move on there. The only way that I would physically see anyone on that camp. Well, no, I wouldn't see them on there, because I'd either be 6 foot under or in prison, because I can't just stand there and let it and watch it happen.
Yeah,
I can't.
Mate, I'm with you. I agree. So and lastly, is there anything else you would like people to know about what it's like living here during all of this? Just finish
You can either, I mean, my husband and I have been attacked. There was 9 of us, my brother, his girlfriend, and several other people. 5 other people have been attacked from groups that have tried and sort of injected themselves into campaigns for likes and follows and stuff like that. I've had 5 death threats to date from different groups. It's been pretty horrendous at times. But
this is
again,
to prove, though, like, do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, if there's anything that I've learned recently, right, and especially on them taking Charlie Kirk's life recently, is that the left have proved themselves to be more dangerous than they make out us to be.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
What got me, I know you want to finish up, but what got me is one of the protest groups that come up, they had a huge, great big sign, right? So they had a sign calling someone a Nazi, someone that was spending a lot of time up here. He is on the further side of right than I would like him to be. But yeah, they were calling him a Nazi, but then next to it, it had a big banner saying the Socialist Workers Union. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, is that a national thing? And they're like, yeah, we're across the country. I went, so you're the National Socialist Workers Union. Do you even know what Nazi stands for? Because that is basically what Nazi stood for. And you're advertising that you are that, but calling someone else a Nazi.
They say, Sarah, they say the same thing every time. When I went down to a protest down at the Barbican, right, in London, right, to that hotel down there, right?
Yeah.
I was literally wading through the Antifa mob, right, and Narinder Kaur was at the forefront of all the stand up to racism mob, right?
Yeah.
And it was literally like they were saying the same sentence. It was like they were on repeat. Nazis scum off our streets. Nazis scum off our streets. All that lot.
Refugees are welcome here.
Yeah. Refugees are welcome here.
Refugees are, but not economic migrants, which is what we've got.
Exactly right. But it's like that's all they know, and it's like you're boring now, mate. You say the same crap day
They
in,
call
day
you a
out.
fascist, but you ask them what it means, and they're like,
They
"Oh,
say,
I don't do interviews."
yeah, they say Nazi scum, fascists off our streets, Nazi scum off our streets,
Zionists.
or refugees, welcome here, and I'm like, go away, mate. Boring, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've had enough of it.
It
But mate,
is, and I think.
thank you so much for coming on today, Sarah. I really
No,
appreciate
thank you for having me and helping me spread the word.
No, it's not a problem at all. And listen, before I go, I did say I wanted to help you, right? So, do you want to quickly just tell everyone who to about the trying to help you out with the links and stuff?
Yeah, so we've got an email address. So if anyone wants to help, especially when we're sort of going out to do the protest marches or set up the new camp eventually, if they want to get in contact, it's saveourscampton@yahoo.com. Then we've got a Facebook page, which is RAF Scampton Action Group. I think we've got about 6,500 people in there at the moment. And we've also got a GoFundMe, which is Save Our Scampton with my name underneath, Sarah Carter. I've just upped the limit on that because obviously it was started 2.5 years ago. So there was about £1,800 raised, but that was like for the last lot of banners and the last camp. So being that we're having to start again, we need to, but I've just kept the same GoFundMe. So it looks like there's a lot of money in there, but that was spent 2 years ago. So we're trying now to sort of raise a bit more funds just to help like a protest camp go in, because we did it before with the Tories. We're going to do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right then, mate. Is there any other links you wanted to put out there, or was that everything?
No, that's just it. Facebook. I mean, follow me on TikTok. I'm getting down with the kids now. Yeah. I saw someone earlier on making a TikTok. I was like, do you need a hand?
It's too late for me.
Yeah, vote for me, call me. So I put my phone number out. Yeah. No, Sarah Carter with a shield and a cross hammers with SOS after it. If anyone wants to follow, just for updates with like protests and marches and stuff like that, and slagging off the government, basically.
Brilliant.
Which is all I see these days.
Listen, thank you for coming on, mate, and I really
No,
appreciate
thank you again for having me.
I hope it gets the message out there for you a bit more from you coming on the Uncensored Patriots, all right?
Yeah, lovely. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you very much. See you later.
Bye.